Hey folks, this is Josh, Stoney Ridge Farmer. Welcome to the farm vlog. Got my trusty partner here, Mrs. Stoney Ridge. She's got our fancy shirt, stupid shit hurt shirt, and I've got our goat shirt on. So if you guys want to pick up a t-shirt, I won't tell you not to. Anyhow, today we're going to show you how to install the Premier One fence. And we already have the goats in this type of fence, and basically we've been moving them on pasture, so we want to show you what it takes to move the goats. We're gonna have a little bit of fun today, moving the goats, introducing them to a new section of pasture. Now, I have you over here by this junk pile and our corn garden for a reason. So I trust this stuff so much that I'm putting the goats right next to our corn garden. So it really works. This is what we're gonna make into our goat mobile. I'm gonna call it the goat mobile. Basically, I wanna set this up. It's an old tobacco trailer. I want to set it up to where it has a shelter in there and the goats can climb in there, and we'll get them used to feeding them in that shelter. And from there, we'll be able to move them throughout our pasture, and I'll show you what we've got going. So where the goats are now is barren. They've eaten it all down, and right here we have some yummy stuff. We're going to go ahead and get started moving these goats. All right, let's go have some fun. Stoney Ridge. From Stoney Ridge. Alright guys, so here are the goats, and you can see that we have the Sahara Desert out here and a beautiful, wonderful pasture right here full of ragweed, which goats love. Check them out, they're sneezing over there or something. What you guys doing? They must not like the dogs. They're snorting at the dogs. So currently the setup we have the 35-inch fencing. It's the goat and sheep netting. And we also have right here our poultry netting, and I think it's a little bit taller. What we're going to do is we're going to join this fence with the old fence and move these guys out to a new section of pasture, and then we'll take down the old fence. So the current fence charger we're using is the Zariba brand, and the difference between the Zariba brand and the Premier One brand is the grounding situation. Let me show you. So your electric fence is only going to work as good as your ground setup, and basically we have a ground rod driven in the ground right here for this Zariba brand fence controller. Well, Premier One has taken away the need to drive a ground rod, which is super duper awesome. Let me show you their setup. So the Premier One fence charger is a lot different than the Zariba brand. It has an adjustable solar panel, and I'll show you how all that works. Inside here is the battery compartment. Very easy to access. With the Zariba one, you've got to take screws out and all sorts of stuff. You have these little clamps, and this clamp goes to your ground, and whoop, where's the other one? And this clamp goes to your hot. So that goes to your fence, and that one goes to your ground. Very simple. It has a handle on it, so this is just made for grazing and rotational grazing on pasture, or rotating your chickens out on pasture. Let me show you the ground rod setup. It's really impressive. So the Premier One fence just has this little guy right here, and what you do is you stick them in the ground and you stomp it down, and then you take your ground clamp and you just clip it to it. Boom, it's done. You can see it's kind of ground off and shinier right here. That's so it gets a good contact on there. So I would say maybe you'd have to grind that once in a while if you want to make sure you kept good contact. And this is how it mounts. So this ground rod stabs on the ground, and then you take, there's a slot in here. You just take it and you slide it in that slot. Boom, and that's it. And it serves as a stand for your Premier One fence controller. I had no idea this product was out there, so I ordered me one. All right, I'm going to show you just how easy it is to mash this thing in the ground. One thing you have to think about is which way's north and which way's south. You want your fence controller solar panel to be facing south so that it gets maximum sunlight. That's south, so we're going to set this up to where that's south and that's north, and our solar panel will be right here. Cool? So we're going to take our spike, we're going to stick it in the ground right here. Nice and easy. Okay? And then Mrs. Stoney Ridge is going to step on it. Believe me guys, she's got a pretty strong kick. Alright, so you'll notice this thing is kind of floppy. It comes with little knobs, just like that, and basically you take these screws that are in it from the factory and you unscrew them, or they're bolts actually. You unscrew them, they're finger tight, I think. Well, a little tighter than finger tight. This one's finger tight because I already finger tightened it. Take this out and slip this little guy in, and that way you can adjust it. The goats are hungry, dude. They're following us around over here. So then you can adjust it to the height that you want it to catch the most sunlight. Pretty cool. It's shiny. I like shiny stuff. Now let me show you how it mounts up on the ground. So we're down here and this is our mount, and basically just so simple, you just slide it in the groove right here. Try not to catch any grass. Slide it right in there and boom, that's it. It's ready to go. I've got my solar panel angled, and now all I have to do is hit the power button. It's right here. Hit that button and you can hear it. Pow. So this right here, this clamp, this will go to our wire. We'll set it to the side for a second. Now the way this wire goes up is really, really simple. You'll get to watch me and Mrs. Stoney Ridge put it up. But there are two different types. One is a single spike type, and that's for use in really soft ground, but if your ground's not so soft, use the double spike. So we ordered the double spike. This is single spike and it does just fine, but if the ground's not a little bit moist, if it's really, really dry out, you'll have a little bit of a difficult time pushing the single spike, where the double spike, you can just take your foot and push it right in. I think it's a little more sturdy. That is the double spike, and that's the poultry netting. So let's get busy. Billy here is a fainting goat. Sometimes Billy falls down, but he gets back up. It comes shipped like this, so you don't stab your UPS guy. And it also comes with the thing we just dropped. A little patch kit right here and a little connector kit. So pretty nice to have if you need it. And we'll set this to the side. Now the fence comes with these nice little strings, so you can just pull one cord and hopefully pull one cord and untie them. Pretty cool. No zip ties here. Very disappointing. I hear that Mennonite people, and if any of you guys are Mennonites, please let me know, but I hear if there's a piece of string that long, Mennonite people save it. I don't know. I think it's a good way to live though. Now you'll notice how this is packaged. All of the posts are on one side. Now this is going to serve as your how to install this Premier One fencing, and hopefully we won't get it all tangled up. Basically all your posts are on one side and all your net kind of hangs down. So you just go along, and with your assistant, Miss Vanna over here, we will start sticking these in the ground. You'll come and hold this, and as we go along, we'll stick our fence in the ground very, very simply. Right here's the first post, and that's pretty much it. You kind of pull them a little bit tight as you go. So we'll stick our first post in the ground and then we'll move on. We'll give you a little detail on how to mash it in. Basically, you want to be on the inside of the fence while you're building it. And I swear, I tried to make a square fence with this stuff, and there is just, in my book, it's just not designed to make a square fence. So it makes a big round pin, kind of like what we have the goats in already. We're going to get moving down through here. We're basically going to build this fence parallel to the other one and encircle this whole area. We've got 3 sections of 164 feet of fence. That's a lot of fence. Let's get it done. It's probably going to take us, what, at least 25 minutes. All right, so we got the first section up. The first 164-foot section took, what, about 4 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff goes up really, really easy. One tip that I do have for you is that you want to put this in after it rains. It just makes it so much easier to push those little pins down in the ground. They're really robust, they're really hard, but you can bend them if your soil is really hard or if you hit a rock or something like that. So if you do hit a rock, just move it. That's simple, so easy to put up. We're gonna go ahead and put up the rest of it, and we'll show you along the way some of the details of installing it. Guys, I've searched the web high and low to figure out the best way to move livestock with this kind of fence. Inevitably, somebody tries to get out. So the best thing to do is to have 2 big sections of fence and be able to build one and then open up a little section of fence right up so the goats can go through. And we'll show you that. Let's get busy starting this next section. Okay, so we're to a section of fence. Mrs. Stoney Ridge is going to go that way. Stretch it out just a little bit. We'll pull it, and we'll get some tension on here. And these are all very, very adjustable, okay? And I'm going to show you how we mash it down in the ground here. Just as simple as it gets right here. You just stick it in, and then take your foot and push it in the ground. Just that easy. Now as you're installing, you'll see that the fence seems a little bit floppy. Something isn't right. This isn't gonna work. That's what I was thinking. But I'll show you a simple solution to that here at the end of the video. All right, we're gonna walk across the field to the other side, and both of us should have rather itchy legs after this. Most of the time here in North Carolina, when you walk through tall grass, you get some critters on you. So would have been best to wear long pants, but you know, what's that shirt say? We gotta have some fun anyway. It's too doggone hot for long pants. We're gonna put this last section together, and I'm gonna show you how to connect the fence sections together, and that way you get a good electrical connection between all the fence sections. Now there's a specific order you've got to figure out when you're unraveling this fence. One of them is the first post, and one of them is the last post. So if you look closely at your fence, your first post will have a label on it, and that's how you know where to start with your first post. It also has this little connector right here, and a big old fat weave of wire right on the post. See that big fat weave? And this is how you connect it to your next post. And I'll show you how we do that. The same as before, we'll mash our fence post in. Basically here you just want to butt these two posts together, probably put about a finger's width in between them. It doesn't really matter, they just need to be close to touching. And then we'll take our connectors. These are two connectors that will go together. Pretty cool. I like to take and wrap it around this way, and then wrap the other one around this way, and ensure I get a good connection. And you just slide these two little connectors together. Very, very simple. And boom, you've got an electrical connection between your two fences. Now, if you want to go the extra mile, you could probably take a little copper wire or something and wrap around these, but you really don't have to. This stuff really conducts electricity very well and will keep your goats or sheep in for sure. Now, there's something that I failed to mention. There's a training period. If your goats or your sheep are not used to this fence, there's a training period that the goats need to experience. So you don't want to go putting them in a great old big pen like this until you train them to a smaller pen. So what we did was we took one fence section and we made a tight little ring, and basically, it sounds kind of bad, but we sprinkled a little bit of food next to it so that they got their head close, and whenever they touched the fence, they realized, boom, immediately that they could not get close to that fence, and that stopped it totally. I don't know about sheep, but goats will butt each other and kick each other out of the way when it comes to feeding time. So once we put it next to it and they got a little tap, that was it. Problem solved. This is not a physical barrier, it's a psychological barrier, and they don't want to get popped. It's not going to harm them, it's not going to hurt them, it won't hurt you. I've been zapped, wife's been zapped, we've all been zapped. It's no biggie, it's no permanent harm, but it trains them. We know not to touch it, and so do the goats. This did not take that long. We knocked it out quick. That stuff is awesome. I'm gonna let the goats in here, and then we're gonna walk around the outside of this fence. They're already trained to it, so we don't need to energize it right away. So we're gonna walk around the outside of the fence, and I'll show you what to do with those saggy parts, those parts that start to dip. The goats really aren't gonna push through it, but it just makes your fence look better. So the simple solution, if you've got sag in the top of your fence, is to take your fence wire and just wrap it around the top a couple times. Very, very simple. And then drop it through. There's a little slot on the top. Drop it right through that slot, and it takes the sag right out of your fence. It's tight as a tick. So here's our little alligator clip, and all we're gonna do is clip it right on to the little metal clip right here. Awesome. And we'll turn it on. I wanna listen, I wanna hear it pop, pop, and make sure I got the pop on the fence. And we also have a tester that we bought from Premier One. We'll show you that too. You don't even have to touch the wire. Pretty awesome. So here's the little tester that we got with our kit, and basically you just put it up to the fence. If you hit the button here, the red light shows, and it shows low voltage and check. Now, we hit the button and we go to our fence, and it says okay. Pretty easy, pretty cool. Oh boy, goaty goaty, goaty goaty. Now guys, that there is a happy bunch of goats. Pretty cool. So the green and the Sahara Desert. This area right here where the goats were is pummeled. It has been pounded by the goats. It has been eaten down to nothing, and it will recover super duper awesome because the goats are just throwing down some good old butt fertilizer on here. So we'll be able to walk around in here, see if there's any rocks, pick up all the rocks, and this will be hayfield eventually. It's pretty cool. This will look better than that. very, very soon. So there are a couple final things that me and Mrs. Stoney Ridge have to do. We have to move the current goat shack over to the new paddock, and we have to move their feeder, and they've got some water troughs over here. So we want to provide them with some shade, and that's where the goat mobile will come into play sooner or later. So we got to get busy, got to drag all these feeders and stuff over here so the goats have a wonderful place to live. All right, so guys, I hope you enjoyed the little video here. I hope you learned a whole lot. And if you're considering buying some of this Premier One fencing, be sure and go to the specialized link that we have below in the video description. It's my own little Stoney Ridge Farmer link to get to Premier One fencing. All this stuff you can buy right there, and that's it. We thought we'd show you something really cool and teach you a little something today, and I hope you learned a lot. Be sure you pound that like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time. Click the little bell icon down there. It'll notify you when we post a new video. We'll have a lot more fun stuff like this. All right, see you next time. Woo!
Well, I moved to the city and I found my wife. Now we're talking about the country and it sounds alright. I'm hugging and a kissing her every night. Dream about a family and living right. Talk to growing up and the times I have. And my brothers and my sisters and my mama.